Hello, I'm Trevor Larkum, Chief Technical Officer at Tanjent Energy, and this is my first go at doing a video blog. We're in the middle of an extended power cut here, and I just wanted to record the experience to see what we can learn from it. So about a month ago, we had a letter from the local distribution company saying that there would be a power cut today. So we knew it was coming, we had a bit of notice. But it is quite an extended power cut from 9 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. So a complete day, a working day. And I work at home, so I was interested to see what the impact would be on me with such an extended power cut. So the context here is that about 6 months ago, I had installed in this house one of our solar and battery systems, the PowerBanx battery storage system, and I went for one of the sort of top of the range systems, which has quite sophisticated handling for situations such as a power cut. And so of course this was going to be the first real test of how it coped. Not knowing quite how it would go, I've been preparing over the last few days, getting things ready for a power cut just in case the worst should happen. But then this morning the power went off as expected, just on time at 9 o'clock. We're now 2.5 hours into the power cut, and I'm just going to summarise the impacts and issues so far. This is the computer I use in my home office, and I was working here just before 9 o'clock this morning ahead of the power cut in a video call with my colleague Jason. The call continued till about 9:30, at which point I was wondering whether perhaps the power cut hadn't gone ahead as planned. So I had a look at the system, and in fact it turned out that the power cut did happen exactly on 9 o'clock, and the system had transparently and seamlessly switched over to using the batteries and had kept everything running. So the computer hadn't been affected, the internet, the video call, everything just worked fine, as well as all, the house basics, the heating, the lighting, fridges, freezers, everything switched over automatically to the battery. What was perhaps more surprising, though I should have been ready for it, was in fact the batteries have stayed almost fully charged, and that's because the inverter is feeding electricity back into the solar inverter in the loft, and so it's continuing to produce, which doesn't usually happen with most solar inverters, and so the solar is keeping the batteries fully charged. So it looks like we may get through the day to 4 o'clock without the batteries being used. So come 4 o'clock, if the power cut were to continue, and the sun goes down this time of the year, will they be able to carry on without power through the night until the solar starts again next morning, which is very encouraging. Now I'm going to do a very quick tour of the system. So of course we have solar panels on the roof and a solar inverter in the loft, as is usually the case, but here we have a complete PowerBanx backup system. So in front we have the Victron inverter, which is the brains of the system, and that's connected through a fairly big isolator to a PowerBanx battery system down below. This is all in our garage. So what happens is the grid comes in through the wall there, the meter's just on the other side of this garage wall, into an isolator that allows us to disconnect the system from the grid if we want to for maintenance and so on, but which we don't need to use manually in normal operation. So basically the power comes into the inverter, and it's the brains behind the system. It's monitoring the grid the whole time, and it's knowing when to switch on the batteries and charge and discharge and do all of that. And it's positioned fairly unusually ahead of the house consumer unit. So that means that it's able to completely replicate the grid when the grid goes down, and the house itself, through the consumer unit, doesn't know that anything's changed. So that's it in a nutshell. So that just leaves the million-dollar question. When we have a power cut, how do we know that it's happened since the house is unaffected? Took me a while to work out the answer to that, but I did work it out. When there's a power cut, you can tell because the mains on light turns off. Otherwise, things carry on just the same as if there's no power cut.